Don't go far. Okay, first of all, we have some guests. We have Bruns Hoffman. Where did you like? There we go. He used to be on staff at Travis years and years ago, and he and his wife have been residing in Tomball. And Doug Price let us know several weeks ago that his wife was very ill, and she has passed. And it's wonderful to have you here, Bruns. And we're thankful that He's got her in the palm of His hand now. And then we've got some returning students. Yes, they were here 2 years ago, I think, and they're back. The Whitings did something that made them want to come back. And so that's Lucas and Hannes back here. And where are y'all from? Austria. Okay, beautiful. Did you say Austria or Australia? Very good. Awesome. Well, good to have you guys. When do y'all go back? Thursday. Okay. Well, you do know that living with the Whitings is not reality. No one else in this room lives like they treat their students from foreign countries. So I just want you to know. Y'all are amazing. All right. As I know some of you are looking forward to already, because maybe some thought it was this morning, breakfast is next Sunday. Instead of having lunch together, we're having breakfast together. And the food will be in that room. And let's see, the Freemans and the Jernigans, those two groups will be hosting it. And we set it around 8:30. Sometimes I hear from people, we just don't have enough time to visit in here. Well, this is giving you an opportunity to come and sit. And we're going to have round tables. Our care group leader suggested we do that. So we'll have round tables in here to give you 8 or 9 people to talk to and visit for a while. So we're looking forward to that. All right, so next Sunday, 8:30. Don't forget, last time we did this, several people walked away and went, I just ate. So don't do that. Come hungry, all right? And we'll see y'all. Yes. 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 Yes, we are. And then we have set the date for Saturday, August the 8th, where 8th, Gayla will be able to give us some tickets half price. They'll run about $25, normally $50 tickets. No, she told me 25. And taxes and all that. So, but that's what I said. They're almost $50 tickets, and so we wanted Orioles. We don't know. Anyway, we wanted to pick. We wanted to pick a night when Gayla could come sit with us because sometimes she's not there. So anyway, if you have any questions, she has a list ready to start your names, and if you even have the money now, you can give it to her because she puts that on her credit card. Yes. Yes. Okay. You're not going to tell us. That was just egging us on. A polo shirt. Okay. All right. One of our newest members, Derry. What? Okay, Derry. Oh, okay. You don't want to interview? Okay. All right, Wayne, come on up. Next week, hopefully, Derry, come back next week and we want to interview you. Well, it's only 20 hours. Oh, you're right. It is slow. I'm sorry.
Well, good morning. Whoever said that. Can't tell what direction it came from. Good to see you. Well, some of you love me. Glad to be here, finishing up our study in Joshua, headed toward Judges chapter 2 next Sunday. Round tables will work nicely for Judges chapter 2. Come read the passage. That will be helpful. This past week, let me back up. I had asked our faculty and staff to take a day this summer for reflection, to get away, not a vacation day, but to get away and to reflect in several areas, prompted actually by our president, who at the Dallas Baptist Pastors Luncheon back in May had talked about a plan, and he had several areas in which he was trying to set forth some direction. So I asked ours to set forth a plan professionally for this coming year, and spiritually for this coming year, and then physically, and then to reflect on how the college might adjust, tweak, change to improve, enhance what we're providing our students for the coming year. So my day was this past Wednesday, and it was a good day. And the plan seemed to come together nicely and didn't change until Friday. It lasted 2 days before it got, but it's still good to reflect and to think. Among the things that haven't changed is that I selected my read-through Bible for next year. I've been in the Legacy Standard Bible this year, and I'm going back to the NASB 1975 edition next year. I looked at the 95 edition. I chose not. I looked at the 77 edition. I actually have one. But it's a study Bible that has so many notes and underlines and things, it disrupts the flow of the reading. I mean, every other word's in bold, and they got an asterisk, and that's not what I need for a read-through Bible. But anyway, so actually this Bible will be my read-through Bible for next year. I'm looking forward to that. It's been several years since I've used this one. So all that to say is, I would ask you to make a plan. Don't wait until January to make a plan, but begin thinking in terms of some things. And the read-through is not the only part of that spiritual plan for me. Actually, part of it has to do with a really detailed focus of the book of Romans, which we're going to be in this fall as a group. And so it will help, I hope, with my preparation as well as the benefit of that study. So all that to say, that's for another day, a couple of months from now. For now, let's look at the book of Joshua. And Joshua begins an oration to the people in chapter 23. Now, the uninspired italic subheading of my Bible says Joshua's farewell address. Well, it may well have been his last public announcement, and he was reminding them of the faithfulness of God and how God had provided so abundantly for them. And he's reiterating this and recounting this and recalling this. And he gets to verse 13 of chapter 24, and he says, "And I gave you a land in which you had not labored, and cities which you had not built, and you have lived in them. You are eating of vineyards and olive yards which you did not plant." So not only did they get land as the benefit, it was already prepared for them, cultivated for them, already had structures for them to to live in. And I suspect there were 2 or 3 remodel projects that commenced pretty quickly. But nonetheless, they weren't starting from scratch. They had this provision. So, as Joshua continues, we're beginning verse 14 of chapter 24. Now, therefore, fear the Lord, reverence the Lord, and serve Him in sincerity and truth. What does your version say besides truth? Faithfulness. And put away the gods which your fathers served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. And if it is disagreeable in your sight to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves today whom ye will serve. Now, I suspect 1 or 2 have got a Joshua plaque in your house, hanging on the wall. Choose this day whom you will serve. As for me, my house, what? Yeah, that was not the choice Joshua was giving them. Go back to the verse. If it's disagreeable to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves today whom ye will serve. Whether, what's your choice? The gods which your fathers served, which were beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you're living. So the choice he was giving them was not one of 3 choices. He was giving them 2 choices. And it was a conditional choice. If you don't want to serve God, okay. Well, it wasn't okay. But if you're not going to serve God, then you need to choose. You're either going to serve those idols from Egypt. That has served them well in the wilderness. No, hadn't helped their grandfathers and their parents a lick. Not at all. Yet they had brought household idols out of Egypt. They were a pretty rough crew when they came back. Well, they're not much better now, I guess, or when Joshua was talking to them. But they were not a people of God, and they were being shaped to become a people of God. But they brought the old idols along with them. And he said, hey, you don't like those idols? Well, there are new ones. You can use those of the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites. I don't think I pronounced that correctly. Anyway, they are the gods that they were dispossessing. Those gods had helped those people a lot. Not a lick. I mean, they had dispossessed them. And he said, if you don't want to serve God, then choose. You choose what you're going to do. So it doesn't sound like much of a choice. But if you take the opening clause out and say, and instead what Joshua said, there wasn't going to be any if with his family, what do you say? We will serve the Lord. We're going to serve the living God. My household is. As the patriarch, he made that call for he and his family. We're serving God. And I read this, when we think again about the choice, and again, as I've commonly thought about this, now maybe it wasn't ever a confusion to you. Maybe you always knew the choice he was offering was to idolatry from Egypt or the Amorites. But that's not the way I understood the passage, and that's not what my Joshua plaque would represent. It would idea the choice being to serve other things or to serve God. And Joshua said, I've already made that decision for our household. We're going to serve the Lord. Now, how many of you are native Texans? Let's see those proud hands. How many of you got here as quick as you could? Oh, yeah, several of you migrated as quick as you could. All right, and so you know something about having to take Texas history in junior high, and I don't remember anything except that the teacher chewed tobacco in class and must have swallowed the juice because he never spit. But I mean, that's all I remember from Texas history. And so I had to do a little refreshment from Texas history. And there was this big battle way back when for fighting for Texas liberty. And it was the Battle of what? The Alamo. And we whooped them. I told you I didn't remember much about their Texas history. No, we got whooped. In fact, they all died except one. And the story that was told has to do with William Barrett Travis. Barrett with one T, not two. And drawing a line in the sand. And he said, hey, if you want to surrender, help yourself. Those of you who want to stay and fight, step over the line. And everybody crossed the line except the one who said, I'm not staying, I'm gone, and Jim Bowie. Well, he crossed the line too, but he had to be carried across the line. Okay, and so, yeah, he was injured and couldn't walk, so he fought to his death in bed. But you had that story, and that story has resonated through the years, through the decades, except it's fiction. It was not ever even reported until some like 40 years later. And supposedly a guy who had interviewed the guy who left, he told some form of this story. But I mean, you got it emblazoned in the lore of Texas about William Travis. Now, William Travis did not grow up in Texas. He came here, I think he came here from Alabama. And actually came here, deserted his family in Alabama, had a pregnant wife and a little one, was in debt, in today's dollars, something like $25,000 in debt, and he got out of Dodge. That's euphemism. It means he got out of the state and he came to Texas, and he ended up joining the fighters in Texas. Now, he ended up at the Alamo, and there was a disagreement about who was in charge, him or Jim Bowie. And when Jim Bowie got injured, that kind of settled the argument, and so now you have Travis in charge. So Travis, and so because of that, and he's probably what is noted for, that is not fiction, is a letter that he wrote. And it's titled Victory or Death. To the people of Texas and all Americans in the world, fellow citizens and compatriots, I am besieged by 1,000 or more of the Mexicans under Santa Anna. I have sustained continual bombardment and cannonade for 24 hours and have not lost a man. The enemy has demanded a surrender of discretion, otherwise the garrison are to be put to the sword if the fort is taken. I have answered the demand with a cannon shot, and our flag still waves proudly from the walls. I shall never surrender or retreat. Then I call on you in the name of liberty, of patriotism, and everything dear to the American character to come to our aid with all dispatch. That means hurry up. The enemy is receiving reinforcements daily and will no doubt increase to 3,000 or 4,000 in 4 or 5 days. If this call is neglected, I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible and die like a soldier who never forgets what is due to his own honor and that of his country. Victory or death. He wrote that letter. It was sent out by a carrier on February the 24th. There were not sufficient responses to allow them to retain the Alamo, and it was overrun on March 6th of that same year. that letter has lived on. I mean, they put it in bronze. You'll put it on a wall. And in fact, for about 14, 15 years or more, there was a statue of William Travis in the Collin County Courthouse holding his sword in hand. Now, it since has gone down to the collection at the Alamo. And supposedly, there's still a statue of Travis over in Fair Park. I'm not brave enough to venture over there, but I have been told that it is there. And so you've had what? You've had a county named after Travis. There's Travis County. You've had schools named after Travis. I went to Travis Elementary School as a child. My wife sided with others at the Alamo. She went to Bowie Middle School instead at a different city. And so, but we think of that, and we think of Travis's bravery and of the decision to stay and fight, regardless of whether he ever drew the line in the sand. That is a part of American Texas history. It is far less important than the line in the sand that Joshua drew. And he gave them a choice. Now again, it was a choice between idolatry, but he said, he proclaimed that his own stance was going to be what? As for me and my house, that means we're going to put up a Christmas tree. Yeah, that means we're going to have a family Bible sitting on the coffee table. Or does it mean more than that? Does it mean that we are surrendering our lives to follow after God? And you know that the people that he was speaking to responded to what Joshua said. The end of verse 15, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And the people answered in verse 16 and said, far be it from us that we should forsake the Lord to serve other gods. For the Lord our God is he who brought us and our fathers up out of the land of Egypt. Now, there weren't many of these people that could remember that. That had been such a long time ago. They had heard those stories, but not many of them could actually remember that because God had slain all the rebels in the wilderness. And from the house of bondage, and who did these great signs in our sight, and preserved us all the way, through all the way in which we went. Now, what had these people actually seen with their own eyes how God had preserved them? Crossing the Jordan, they built a pontoon bridge, and they got... Oh, yeah, the waters parted, and they crossed through on dry ground. And it can't explain that other than God making a provision for them. And preserved us all the way through in which we went, and among all the peoples whose midst we passed, and the Lord drove out before us all the peoples, even the Amorites. In other words, we've come into the land. Now, we're going to read in Judges chapter 1, and in fact, it tells us some of this in Joshua itself. They didn't drive them all out. They didn't finish the job. And that was part of the challenge that we're going to get to in Judges chapter 2. They took over the land. They had control of it, but they didn't clear the land completely. And he says, but they finished themselves in verse 18. We also will serve the Lord, for he is... this is like a tent meeting. Joshua got all excited. I'm serving God. And they hooped and hollered and said, we're serving God too. Excuse me. Kind of loud. He's our God. And Joshua said, good answer. That was what I was hoping for when I've been talking to you the last chapter and a half. I was hoping that you people would get enough backbone that you said, well, you'll serve God too. And let's look at it together there in verse 19. Then Joshua said to the people, what? You will not be able to serve the Lord. He's a holy God. He's a jealous God. He will not forgive your transgressions or your sin. He's going to hold you to task. You can't serve God. And you're going to forsake Him and serve foreign gods? He'll turn and do you harm. He'll consume you after He's done good for you. And so the people said, okay, we better think about this some more. No, they're all exercised in their own spirit. In verse 21, the people said to Joshua, no, but we will serve the Lord. Joshua said, you're a witness against yourself now. You all heard each other, what each other said. You've chosen to serve the Lord. And they said, we are witnesses. This isn't just an emotional high. We recognize what we're doing. We know the consequences for what we're saying. Then Joshua then put away those foreign gods. Get rid of them. I know you got it in the closet. I know you're hiding it under the bed. You get rid of them. Incline your heart to the Lord, the God of Israel. And the people said to Joshua a third time, we will serve the Lord our God, and we will obey His voice. When we walk with the Lord in the light of His word, what a glory He puts on our way. While we consider, while we do His good will, He abides with us still and with all who will rust and decay. Rust and decay. Yeah. No, it's trust, obey. And that's what they're saying. We're serving Him, we will trust Him, and we will obey Him. That's a good word. That's a measured word. That wasn't just a quick, oh yeah, I'm all for Jesus. And then you think, oh, what did I just say? Because remember, he extended out, and Joshua challenged him. You don't really mean it. You can't do it. Yes, you do. We really mean it. You're witnesses. We're witnesses. You better do it. Oh, we will serve the Lord. They were making a firm commitment to that. How long did the commitment last? Yeah, it was gone before then, but it had Judges chapter 2 certainly marked a change. And it goes on to say in verse 31 of the same chapter, and Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua and all the days of the elders who survived Joshua and had known all the deeds of the Lord which He had done for Israel. So remember, when Joshua enters the land, he is one of the senior adults. He and Caleb are the real seniors. And all the other folks had been less than 20 years of age when they were repelled from Canaan the first time. So they may have been close, approaching 60, 65. I remember those years. Been a while. But the idea was that the elders, these are people that are a good bit younger than Joshua. All right, so they may have survived another 40 years. who knows how long they lasted even beyond Joshua's day that they served. Now, Joshua was not a young man when he passed. Scripture tells us he was 110. So he had some length of years himself. But they served the Lord, what? All of his days and all the days of the elders. And yet we're aware of what? That God has no grandchildren. We are either his children, and the fresh and new each generation have to be adopted as his children. But this idea of just honoring the heritage of great-grandpa, great-great-great-grandpa doesn't fly spiritually. And so we find out that these people did honor the Lord on some level while Joshua was alive. Now, let's put it in the 21st century. What is the challenge? Since we've already acknowledged we got the Joshua plaque on the wall somewhere. Now, in fact, we had one. It's not on the wall now. I don't know where it went, but it's not on the wall. Don't have a desire to serve foreign gods. I'm just saying it's not part of the house decoration there. And whether you've ever had one or not, what are we doing to honor that commitment? And you're thinking, well, I'm here, aren't I? I'm putting up with you, aren't I? Well, that's something to be said for that, a badge of honor, a red badge of courage, maybe. But it doesn't mean that we're rightly related. And it doesn't mean that God is pleased with the choices that we are currently making. How do we find out if God is pleased with the choices that we're making? Oh, ask him. Okay.
But we also read his word.
Okay. We find guidance in his word. We might do well to have a day of reflection. Someone talked about that a little earlier today. A day of reflection, whereby we draw aside and open our hearts and lives before the Lord and say, God, speak to me. Speak to me. Now, my reflection day began with examining the fruit of the Spirit out of Galatians chapter 5. That's just where I was drawn. I didn't close my eyes and say, what do you want me to read? Prior to opening the Word, I was just drawn to consider the fruit of the Spirit. It's not the fruit salad of the Spirit. Oh, I got love, joy, and peace. I'm going to work on patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control this coming year. No. Either I am possessed of the God or I'm not. Either God's fruit is being manifest in my life or it is not. If I show no patience, probably not the only fruit I'm missing. Reflect. Lord, if I'm really serious about serving you, what does that mean? What needs to change? If for my life to align in a way that this won't be a 2-week commitment that just falls off the table and I'm back to acting my own fleshly self by August, if not before. Okay. So I'm ahead with the Bible reading this year. I was reading in Romans today, and I got another dose of walking in the Spirit or walking after the flesh. You know, those who are in the Spirit walk in the Spirit. And if you're walking after the flesh, it's a pretty good sign that you're not walking by the Spirit. Now, Galatians 5, we'll talk about that also. Maybe in a more understandable way for some of us. But the idea is that it is an ongoing process. Why do people refer to the Christian life as the daily walk? Why not call it an annual retreat?
Because we need guidance.
Oh, need it daily. And some of us use a devotional called Our Daily Bread. Needing manna, yesterday's manna is not good for today. Well, I read the Bible through all the way through. When I was 12. Maybe it's time to do it again. Now, it's not going to make you more spiritual, but it does give God more material with which to speak and address the issues of our life. I'm not asking you to choose today who you're going to serve. I am asking that you would commit, that you make a commitment to draw aside and take a time. I'm not going to say a day. You may be done after 12 minutes, but I think it'll take longer than that. But take time to reflect. Where are you spiritually? Where are you in your walk? Where are you in family relationships? Where are you in service to others? Where are you? Well, I might follow up with the second question. Where do you want to be? And that leads to a third question. What do I need to do to get there? What needs to change? Now, do you know this week's going to be hot? If you're going to reflect, don't reflect outside. I'd find a cool spot to reflect. But I am asking you to do something. Don't just hear it and pitch it aside. Well, that reflection business is good, but I'm not doing it. Okay. I think it could be to your benefit and maybe the benefit of our class for all of us to spend some time reflecting, allowing God the opportunity to speak to us about areas of our life. Let's pray. Lord, I'm grateful for your word. I'm grateful for Joshua. I'm grateful that lessons that we see in your word can be applied to our own lives if we're willing. If we're willing. And I'm asking that by your Spirit that you would move us toward a willingness to open our lives before you and allow you to do business afresh and anew in our hearts. For our good, for the blessing of our family, for the furtherance of your kingdom. I ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, Lord bless. See you with Judges 2.
Also, remember our own Terry Coyne will be preaching this morning.
Was that today?
Yeah.